The unexpected arrival. The morning sun hung low over the plains, painting the horizon in streaks of gold and rose. A soft breeze rustled through the cottonwoods near the stagecoach stop, carrying with it the dust of the long trail. Samuel Hargrove, known around the territory as the Loner Rancher, stood with his hat in hand, boots planted firm in the dirt. His ranch stretched for miles westward, but all that land and cattle hadn't filled the emptiness in his chest. 4 years he had lived alone. A good herd, a faithful horse, steady hands at work, but no one to sit across the table at supper. No one to greet him at the porch when he came home bone-tired from branding or riding fence. His letters to the matrimonial agency had been cautious at first, stiff and unsure. Yet somewhere between inked lines and sealed envelopes, a spark of hope had been born. Today he was to meet her, his mail-order bride. The stagecoach rattled down the hill in a cloud of dust, the crack of the driver's whip echoing. Samuel's heart gave a heavy thud in his chest. He straightened his jacket, wiped his palms against his trousers. Would she be kind? Would she be frightened? Would she take one look at his weather-worn face and turn cold? The coach groaned to a stop, iron wheels screeching against gravel. A handful of passengers stepped down first, traders, a family with children, a traveling peddler with wares clinking in his pack. Samuel's eyes searched past them all, waiting for the woman whose face he had only glimpsed in a faded tintype photograph. Then he froze. From the shadowed interior of the stagecoach stepped not one woman, but two young women, moving carefully together, their dresses brushing in unison. Their hair shone the same dark chestnut in the sunlight. Their faces, near mirrors of each other, were pale with nerves. But what made every onlooker gasp wasn't their likeness, it was the way their shoulders were joined, bound by flesh and fate since birth. Twin sisters. Conjoined. The murmurs started instantly. Lord have mercy. Never seen the like. Is that who he sent for? Samuel's throat tightened. This was not the bride he had been promised. Not the woman he had envisioned sitting by his hearth. His mind raced. Surely some mistake had been made. Surely the agency had deceived him. Yet the sisters looked straight at him, eyes wide, as though they already knew his name. One of them, taller by an inch, clutched a small carpet-bag with both hands. The other reached for Samuel in a tentative half-gesture, though she stopped short, cheeks burning red. "Mr. Hargrove?" the taller one asked softly. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. Samuel swallowed hard. "Aye, that's me." The townsfolk lingered, whispering, gawking. A boy laughed until his mother yanked him back by the collar. Samuel felt the weight of every stare pressing down on him, waiting for him to scoff, to send them away, to declare it some cruel trick. Instead, he stepped forward. "You must have had a long ride," he said, voice steady though his heart pounded. "Come on, let's get you out of this dust." Relief flickered across their faces. They climbed down, moving in careful harmony, their steps practiced from a lifetime of being bound together. Up close, Samuel saw the faint differences. The taller sister's eyes were sharp and cautious, while the other's held a softness, a dreamy light. "My name is Clara," the cautious one said. "This is my sister, Lily. We answered your advertisement together. The agency wrote you, but perhaps they didn't tell you everything." Samuel looked at them both. For a moment, he didn't trust his voice. The agency hadn't told him anything. "I reckon they didn't," he admitted slowly. Clara's hand tightened on the carpet-bag. Lily's lips pressed together as though to hold back tears. Samuel's chest ached at the sight. Their fear wasn't of the journey, but of him. Of his rejection. A silence stretched. The driver called out for the stage to move on, snapping the reins. Dust swirled, and soon the coach was gone, leaving only Samuel, the sisters, and a circle of curious townsfolk. Samuel straightened his shoulders, aware that every pair of eyes was fixed on him. "Well," he said firmly. "You've come all this way. No sense in standing about. My ranch ain't far." He reached for their bag, carrying it with ease. The sisters exchanged a glance, half relief, half uncertainty, before following him to the wagon. As he drove them out of town, the gossip faded behind, but the questions in Samuel's mind only grew louder. What was he to do now? Could he keep them on the ranch? Could he send them back without breaking them in spirit? And why, despite every expectation shattered, did he feel an odd stirring in his heart, a quiet admiration for their bravery? The sisters sat side by side, joined yet distinct, gazing out at the open prairie. For the first time in years, Samuel was not alone on the wagon bench. And though he did not know what tomorrow would bring, he could not shake the thought that his life had just changed forever. A love like no other. The wagon creaked as it rolled into the wide sweep of Samuel Hargrove's ranch. The sisters sat quiet beside him, eyes following the endless fences, the cattle grazing in clusters, the distant barn with its weathered boards and windmill turning slow. To them, it must have seemed like another world, open skies, no neighbors in sight, only the call of meadowlarks and the smell of dust and grass. When the wagon stopped in front of the ranch house, Samuel climbed down and offered a hand. Clara stepped first, Lily beside her, their movements practiced in unison. They looked at the house, plain but sturdy, whitewashed walls, a porch that sagged a little at the edges, rocking chair by the door. "This'll be your home for now," Samuel said. His tone was gruff, but there was no cruelty in it. "For now," Clara echoed softly, as though bracing herself. Inside, Samuel showed them the kitchen, the small parlor, the 2 bedrooms upstairs. He hesitated at the last part, realizing they could never be separated. "I reckon you'll both share the bigger room," he said awkwardly. Lily smiled faintly. "We've never slept apart a single day in our lives, Mr. Hargrove. One room will suit us fine." That evening, the sisters insisted on cooking. Clara chopped onions with quick, sure strokes, while Lily kneaded bread, her humming filling the kitchen. Samuel, unused to anyone bustling in his house, sat at the table watching, his chest tightening with something he hadn't felt in years. When they set the meal before him, stew rich with herbs, warm bread, butter soft as cream, he bowed his head without thinking. "It's been a long while since I've had supper made for me," he said quietly. Lily's smile was shy. "It's been a long while since we've had someone to cook for." Whispers on the wind. Days turned into weeks. The sisters proved themselves quickly. Clara learned the ranch work faster than Samuel expected, helping mend fences, tallying supplies, even driving the wagon when needed. Lily tended to the house, kept it bright, sewed, and filled the evenings with music, her singing voice sweet as a meadow bird. But the town did not forget. Whenever Samuel took the sisters with him to market, eyes followed them, lips whispered. Children stared openly. Women clutched their parasols tighter. More than once, Samuel caught men shaking their heads, muttering words like unnatural and God's punishment. One evening, Samuel overheard a pair of neighbors at the feed store. "Hargrove's gone soft in the head," one man sneered. "Took in freaks for wives." Samuel's blood boiled, fists tightening, but he said nothing. Not yet. Back at the ranch, Clara seemed to sense his storm. "We've heard worse than whispers," she told him calmly as they unloaded supplies. "But it does weigh on a man's shoulders to carry them alone." Samuel looked at her, then at Lily, who was stroking the nose of his horse, murmuring softly to the animal as if the world outside didn't exist. "You shouldn't have to carry it at all," he said gruffly. 2 hearts, 1 bond. As summer deepened, Samuel came to see the sisters not as a mistake or burden, but as a gift. Clara was practical, quick to argue but quicker to laugh when he matched her wit. Lily was gentler, but her quiet wisdom often cut straight through his doubts. One evening, after a day of branding calves, Samuel sat on the porch with them. The sunset spilled fire across the horizon. Lily leaned forward, her hands folded, eyes glowing in the light. "Back east, people never looked at us without pity," she said. "Here, it feels different. Hard, but freer somehow. But we wonder." Clara's voice picked up where her sisters left off. "We wonder if you'll regret taking us in." Samuel felt their words like a stone in his chest. He set down his coffee cup and looked at them both, steady and unflinching. "I won't lie," he said. "When that coach stopped, I thought fate had played me for a fool. But I've watched you work, seen how you face folks' cruelty with your heads high. You've put life back in this house. I reckon I'd be the fool now if I let you go." The sisters' eyes shimmered in the fading light. Lily's hand trembled against the porch rail, and Samuel, without thinking, covered it with his own. Clara, watching, did not pull away. For the first time, Samuel realized it wasn't just companionship he felt. It was love, strange, unexpected, but truer than anything he'd ever known. The rancher's choice. The test came sooner than he expected. At Sunday service, the preacher hesitated before blessing the sisters, his words clipped and cold. Afterward, a group of townsfolk gathered near the church steps. "You can't keep them out here, Sam," one rancher said bluntly. "It ain't right. Folks'll think the worst." Samuel stood tall, hat in hand, voice like steel. "What folks think don't change the truth. And the truth is, they're under my roof, they're decent, and they're mine to protect. That's all anyone needs to know." The whispers didn't stop, but the challenge ended there. Word spread quick. Hargrove had chosen his side, and he would stand by it. Love in the quiet. That night, Samuel found the sisters sitting on the porch again, their shoulders pressed together, faces turned up to the stars. He sat beside them, the air cool and still. "You defended us," Clara said softly. "I'll do it every time," Samuel answered. Lily's voice was barely above a whisper. "We were afraid you'd send us back. That you'd be ashamed." Samuel turned to them, his expression fierce but tender. "Ashamed? I was ashamed of myself for even thinking it. You two are stronger than half the men I know. And you filled this place with something I thought I'd never have again, hope." The sisters' eyes glistened, and in that quiet moment, Samuel felt the last walls around his heart crumble. He reached out, not for one, but for both, drawing them close. The prairie stretched wide and endless before them, but for the first time in years, Samuel did not feel the emptiness of it. He was no longer the loner rancher. He had found his family, his love, his place. And though the world might never understand, he knew in his bones he would never let them go.